Hey guys, I'm able to work on a Cadillac today, so I'm pretty happy about that. Let me show you a couple of things I've done. Now I've pulled out these turn signal lenses because with this rust here, I have to do something with this, and there's really no way to do it with the turn signals in the way. It's rusted right up under the lip. This side's not so bad. I'll wire it off and treat it. This side, it looks like most of the metal's gone in this corner, so I'm gonna have to cut this out. And if I cut it out, I'm gonna cut out. You know, the lip's pretty good to here, so I'm probably gonna cut a chunk out, like right from this point all the way to here, cut it out, and then form it and try to get it back in there so it looks good. So that brings me over here. But I've got this old tar undercoating, and pretty much here through this seam, where it's loose, all the way up and around. So you see how it's just coming right off? So I'm gonna scrape all that off, then I'm gonna wire wheel it, clean it up, do the frame, and I'm gonna get so I can treat everything underneath this car. All this surface scaly rust. I'm gonna do that today and then hit it all with chassis saver. I think I'll use that little teeny spray gun I got and I'll just spray it all. Or maybe I'll use a bigger spray gun. And I'll have the fan going, so that's probably what I'll do. I'll probably spray it just because it's gonna go so much quicker. Now this car there's places where there's little bits of, oh, I don't know, right here I chipped through and I got through metal a little bit, and up in here you can see daylight there. So that's the upper wheelhouse. Why in the world that's rusted through? But it's, you know, it's not thick metal anymore, and it's a little Swiss cheesy. There's a little spot right there. But I'm not gonna panic over that. I'm gonna chassis save it, and then probably underneath this wheel well, I'll hit it all with rubberized undercoating. And I'm gonna preserve this car is my plan. I'm not necessarily gonna fix every hole, but I'm gonna plug them up and preserve them and make sure they don't get moisture again. There it is. That stuff. So it does come off fairly easy. I mean, and where it's staying on, I'm leaving it. I'm not gonna kill myself scraping it all off forever. But look at that. Bam! It's coming right off. So I'm all the way around this wheelhouse, and it took me a matter of a minute. Wow, stuff's flying everywhere. So I'll take a wider knife and knock down more of it. Mainly, I just want to make sure this gets chassis savered. You know, that seam right there. Yep, I got this one just about, so I'm going to wire it off and get ready to spray it. Only got 3 more wheel wells to do. Of course, I had the best intentions of just staying on the frame, wire wheeling the wheelhouses and all that, but what happened? Yep, there's some bubbling here, and of course there's a hole here. Now this is the outer skin of the fender, and that's the inner part of the fender. And this is another part of the inner fender, which I've already cut this off. This is part of the fender that comes around. And last time, I think this just mostly, for the most part, got puttied over. Oh, it got riveted, see? So this was a patch that went over that. And the putty's pretty thick here that I'm not sure what to do with. I feel metal behind there that's flopping around. And let's see what it looks like. I mean, if it's all pitted and crappy, I'll cut it and take it out and put a new piece of metal in. Probably that's just what I had to do. But it's a pain because this is spot welded here, so I got to do something with that, get rid of that mess, clean all this up. I don't want to get rid of this, so probably what'll happen is this will get treated, and maybe even I'll hit that with that chassis saver too. And now my phone's ringing. I better go see who it is. Hey look, it's 1-800-BS. Wonder what they want. They call me 40 times a day. Probably the warranty on this Cadillac ran out. Anyway, so I'm gonna start tearing into this. I'm gonna get this cut off, get that cleaned up, clean it all up, and I'll prime it, and maybe I'll make a piece for it today, maybe I won't. I think what I'll do is cut the other side where I have the same sort of problem and go ahead and spray it up with the chassis saver under there. I think that'll hold it together for quite a while. Well, maybe someday I'll put new fenders on this car. Probably not. Well, this side looks even messier because I got a streak of bubbles going right across. You pretty much can see it, and I can feel this. That's tin that they just went over. Yeah. Oh man, I got to do something with that. It's horrible. But this is original right here because I can see where it's spot welded, just barely. Yep. Cut them off, clean them up, treat them up, paint them up with chassis saver when I do the rest of the chassis, and then put a patch over it nice and neat. Maybe it'll last longer. Okay, I'm this far in. I'm digging. But at least the more I dig, the less confusing it gets, because they got overlays and overlaps and stuff like that, and I'm just going to wind up cutting the whole thing out. I'm going to cut this all the way up to here now, where that black line is, which means I made 2 cuts. I thought I'd be conservative and not get up the yellow here, but you know what? Why would I keep that? And that's got to go. I'll have to do an inner patch too. I'll have to do something from here across to here to hook this onto. I'm not going to hook it to the inner fender like they did. I'll try to do it more like what factory would be. Not sure what that is, but I'll have to figure that out. Okay, I got this pretty well cleaned up. Now there's something missing here. I knew there was another bolt that went up through the bottom of the fender and hooked here. And when I turned it out with the impact driver, and it ripped it right out, and it's laying there in a little gob of rusted up metal and junk. So that kind of piece belongs under here. And then there's the other 2 bolts that go up here, which I got out without destroying them, because they go right up into the actual body part right here, right up into a nut. I'd like to recreate it, and I'd like the fender to come down and look like it's supposed to look. So I'll probably use this for a pattern actually, because it gives me this profile shape, although that shape changes as it goes, so it'll be a little bit of a challenge. But I think what it does is then from here it curves and swoops under and hooks in, and then that bolt went through there. Anyway, on the other side, it seems like, okay, looking at this side, the bolt is still here. I'm going to see if I can get it out the way it's supposed to be, and then I'll be able to see how this inner fender is formed. Anyway, I'm going to get in here. Oh, it looks like somebody gumped it up with some junk. Try to get this bolt out. I can get my finger on it up there, so maybe I can get some PB blast on it. But I like to not spin it out and destroy it, because I want to see how this fender is formed. Wow, look at that. If I cut it out right, I'll have the whole shape. Okay, I sprayed some PB blast on the inside of that. I'm going to put a little heat on it with my trusty map gas torch. It's amazing how effective these little torches are. I'm going to give it a shake with the old impactor. Hot stuff falling out on my hands. Well, it didn't work. Y'all did was wreck the clip nut. Huh. Well, it did come out. Looks like it just wrenched the whole nut off. Now, I wonder if I can get the other ones. I might be able to just shake them loose. Probably put some heat on them too, because it seems to work. Give it a try without heat first. Nope. Not enough heat. Okay, since I think this is the original, I think originally they just puttied over it. Who knows? Could have been 40 years ago. And, you know, it lasted for quite a while. So I'm going to cut this right off here, cut this right out, and try to preserve this shape. Well, you can see where they just puttied this over. There's a big hole here, kind of a notch. Just got putty in it. I'd like to save the shape on one side or the other so I'll know what I'm doing when I try to put it back together. But I guess the thing to do is start cutting. Better put my little goggles on. I hate metal filings in my eyes. That happened to me before when I wasn't too smart and cut without goggles. Well, I'd really like to stay away from this if I could, but it's so messed up already. I guess I might as well just make it new. Well, that's got to be a pain in the neck to form. It would have been nice if it was just a little rust hole here I could patch. But instead it's a whole darn panel thing and I got to change the whole thing out. I'm throwing sparks at my camera. That's stupid. I'm gonna move you guys over here where it's less sparky. Right here, yeah. To here. Oh yeah, better view anyway. You're right up. Now you're right over my shoulder. Thought I was getting a buckle. Gotta be careful, you cut too fast, it gets hot and makes things buckle. Well, I cut the whole thing. Don't know it's still holding it. Well, then I'm getting into that other piece of inner fender. How am I going to do this? So I might be able to preserve that edge. We'll see. Aha. I got 2 layers here again. Well, looky there. Really didn't save a whole lot. Whoops. Sorry, guys. It was a bit of a ride. Well, I got the whole thing off. So all I got to do now is duplicate it, clean up this mess. No small task. So that's what that piece looked like originally. Then it came around this. I'm probably going to make something like that for the other side, so I got something to hook to. I'm going to go back to trying to get these bolts out. I got one here and I got one over here, and I'm going to put a little heat on them, hopefully not burn down anything, and wrap them out, because when I make my new piece, the bolts down there are going to hold it in place for me. Oh, I got that pretty cherry red. Let's see what happens. Nothing, but I did have a flame come out of there. That sucker's tight. I have to ratchet on up to the bigger 1/2-inch drive impact driver. It's either got to come out or break. Well, this will either fix it or break it. I got a 14 socket on there. It's usually just a hair tighter than a 9/16. Well, looky there, I got it. Finesse wins the day again. Woo! That was hot. So this is all part of what the fender would be. I see what's burning. It looks like a little bit of mouse nest. Yeah, I found a little mouse nest with this whole car. Well, I got that pretty well cleaned up. So now I'm gonna go back to my wire wheeling. So it was a 2-hour detour, but it had to be done. I had to cut that rod out. So I got these pieces laying over here. I don't know, I guess for the most part I'll be able to use them for some kind of pattern. Figure something out with these. That's the bottom of that, and then this goes on top of here. So I'll kind of figure out I use these anyway as clues to how things will go back together, I hope. Although that don't look like it matches. But this is the one piece I cut out of the driver's side. So that's got fairly good shape to it. You know, I can see, I'll be able to see the profile fairly good when I start making something out of this. So I gotta cut a strip of metal and then just start pounding on it, I guess. I gotta make it big. It's gotta be about 1.5 inches bigger just so it'll lap under the bottom. And then this is the inner. It's the only thing that was left on the driver's side. But this again gives me enough to kind of go by as far as making an inner part for both sides. I'm gonna go back to wire wheeling on that thing, get it all cleaned up so I can spray the chassis saver on it. Spray it with Ospo, you let it dry, it's just that easy. And then I'll spray the chassis saver on the chassis, all the black parts. Definitely want to spray up in there as much as I can get on both sides and everywhere I can get. So I'm gonna leave the holes are open for now and then I'll plug them up after I'm done. Okay, it looks like I got everything wired, wheeled up about as good as I'm gonna get it. And I'm gonna spray this all down with Ospo. Well, look, there's another place I gotta get. I didn't get this yet. Gotta get this front edge. So a little bit more wire wheeling. I got these cut out. So here it is. Got this all wired up. I got, since I'm gonna be using the chassis saver, I'm gonna spray all this stuff down with that. I don't wanna have a problem with lug nuts. I also taped off the brand new rubber brake lines with some blue tape. And I got this as cleaned up as I can get it. Wired all this kind of stuff up under here. I got where I could here. I loosened up the gas line so that I can get behind it. That's about it. I'm gonna run around and I'll do a little lube job on it because I see grease fittings. Might as well do that while I got it up in the air right now. That's about it for today. So thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, share, ring the bell, all that fun stuff. And we'll see you on the next one.